Uh, okay. Okay, so yeah, welcome to this live session. And in this session, I'm going to be talking how I planned my homeschool and for the year. I should have included that. I planned my own school for the year and how the process basically that I went through to get to where we are today. So, as some of you might know, um, hi, Mercy. As some of you might know, we started officially homeschooling last year, beginning of last year, right? That I wasn't going to put him in a school. That one I was sure. What I was doing, I wasn't quite sure. But I kind of had an idea in my head of what I felt should be going on. And based on my own experience in school as a young child, I wasn't quite happy with how things played out. So I knew that I wanted different from a child. So I was clear about why I wanted to do. No, I wasn't clear about why. I was just clear that I wanted to do it. But so the process was not like, okay, so what will I do now? Right? So I decided to then I now saw something about an alternative learning center somewhere in Italy, and I decided to enroll us to alternative learning center, and we decided to go once a week. And before then, what I used to do was that I used to create activities every day. Just create activities like every day when it was still before it was where my mind was opened up to the possibilities of what we could do. And I was quite comfortable with what they were doing at the time. They had, you had to go there. They did classes, I think, throughout the whole week, or no, 3 times a week, I think. And they had different things for each day that you go. So I picked one on Wednesdays. We used to go on Wednesdays, if I remember correctly. So then that's when I had the idea for theme studies. So we started doing, so I just planned out my themes and all. But in the course of the year of us going through um, what we were doing. That's like the theme studies. That's us using a theme, creating activities around a theme. In the course of that, I was now opened up more into the world of homeschooling, and um, you really needed to plan properly for it. And so today I'm going to take you through the process of the things that I've learned in the last 1 year and how I've now applied that in planning for this year. So okay, so I know that quite a number of people will probably watch this. Will probably watch this afterwards, and so I might be looking from here to here because I'm recording for my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so first of all, one thing I noticed. One thing I noticed about early years in Nigeria and the way Nigerians take play-based learning. So we all know now, right, that the first 5 years of a child's life is one of the most important parts of their lives in their developmental stages because their brain develops at a very rapid pace between these years, and that is going to inform the rest of their lives. So based off of that research, educate children and better ways to be able to give them experiences that will inform how their lives are going to be formed for a lifetime. So going back to Nigeria and play-based learning. So in a country, I think it's Finland, right? They play literally till they are 7. Children play till they are 7 years old. Until they are 7, they are not even allowed to be enrolled into like a school the way we know school as. But in Nigeria, and that's saying that them not doing academics, right? But in Nigeria, what we now translate play-based learning to be is now saying, oh, we are now trying to infuse academics into play into academics. Oh, so we're going to use play to learn how to do math. We're going to use play to learn how to do English, which in itself is not a bad thing, but it is trying to get our minds away from that for a bit, at least for the session, for this period of this live session, to think about our children away from math and English, to look at our children away from science or arts, crafts, and all of that, but to try and give them a childhood, a experiential childhood, to let them experience life away from just saying book up. We've been brought up to say, okay, go and learn your book, go and this, go and that, go and that. But I want us to just, try and take our minds away from that first before we now start looking at how we can now plan our homeschool. So, we're looking at giving our children their childhood back, and that's why this is not mainly for people that are solely homeschooling. It's for I've said it's for all parents. It's for all parents to be able to be involved in this, right? Because we are trying to give our children their childhood back. And the way let's even talk about Lagos first or other fast-paced cities. You are up early, the children are up early, they are going to school early, they are back, and they are probably back late and things like that. And there's really, really no time to be children as much as they are supposed to be. Yeah. So this is not for just people that are solely homeschooling. This is for every parent. This is for every parent because this is the beginning of their journey. This is the beginning of their learning journey, not from just say, okay, we're now in preschool, then this is education. No. We're giving them their childhood back. We're trying to give them their childhood back. Then they can now proceed into being, preschoolers or elementary school or primary school and all of that. But let's first give them their childhood back. In this first few years, how did I now do it to plan? So let's get planning now. Let's talk about planning. So I did a review. After our homeschool. For last year to see what worked and what didn't work. I saw that the theme base that we were doing, it worked. But the idea behind that was because I was trying to see his interests. So he's just going to be 3 in March. And I mean, he doesn't even know who he is. I don't know who he is. I'm trying to learn who he is, right? And this is the period I'm using to learn who he is. And I think we should do that for our kids, for our children as well. So whatever approach we are going to take, there should be no pressure, absolutely no pressure. First, this should be about first learning about our children, trying to learn who they are, trying to understand their learning style, trying to understand you yourself as a parent, teaching style, trying to understand what their interests are. So it shouldn't be solely about, oh, let's go and do counting, let's go and do numbers, let's go and do literature or literacy. It shouldn't just be solely about that. So, hello, Pama. So it should be majorly about learning about our children in this phase of their lives. So we'll also talk about, when they're older and what you can do. So first of all, in your process of planning, the first most important thing as a parent is knowing your values. What are your values? What do you value as a human being? What do you value as a person, right? Think about the things what is that one thing that I cannot let go of as a person, you as a person? Then you now think about your child and think about their future, then work backwards. So if I think of my child in 20 years, what do I want to see? Now, we're not talking about just academics, we're talking about the holistic child. So, what do I want to hear? What do I want to see in my child? Because this formative years, first of all, is the foundation. And if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? So we have to first think about your values. First, most important thing, think about your values. What are your values as a person? What do you want to see in your child? What are the things that as a parent you cannot let go of? Right. So in my home, I want to ensure that, okay, so some of the things that we talked about is what do we value? We value that our child should be a global citizen. We value that it should be an honest person. We value that it should be our children or child, however, should be so we listed a couple of things. So you have to sit down with your spouse, or if you are going to be in charge of it, sit down and write down what your values are as a person first, then extend that to your child in 20 years. That's because right now, of course, they can't articulate what their values are. So you look at your child in 20 years, in 25 years. What do you want to see as a parent? What would make you as a parent happy to see? Okay, I want my child to be a XYZ. I want it to be a honest person, to be a this, then walk backwards and say, so these are the things that will place, values upon. I want my child to be a need to have a vast sense of knowledge about this, about that, about whatever it is. First of all, most important thing is to know your values and then extend that to your child. The next thing is to know your philosophy, your educational philosophy. And if your children are in school, you have to first know that every school that is established is based on an educational philosophy. It is not about the school's mission statement or the school's these are the underlying things that the school that is running in the school's DNA. So that's why you are the teacher of your child, or you are going to employ a teacher to come to your home, or your child goes to a school, a traditional school, you need to think about the philosophy of the school that your child goes to, the philosophy of you as a person. What do you think about education? What's your idea of education? What does education mean to you as a parent? What does education mean to your spouse? What is education? What does it mean? So that philosophy, you need to think about it. And just know that every school is based on a philosophy, and every home school too is based on a philosophy. So that's why you see different, you see 10 homeschooling parents, and you see that they have 10 different philosophies, how they run their things in their home. So that will also inform what you do, how you do it, and the frequency with which you do it. It will inform a lot of that. We're going to talk about that because I'm going to give you all the examples of the different kinds of philosophies that are available. So you need to think about that seriously. So sit down and write down. First question, what do I think about education? When I think my child and education, what do I want to see? What do I value when education is concerned? Do I want a child that goes outdoors? Or do I want a child that is led by his interests? Or you want a child that you just believe that children or whoever is being educated should be educated in a certain way? What is that certain way? You need to be clear about it. You need to write it down, because these are the things that will inform what you do and how you do it. So, for example, my idea of education and my my idea of education for my child is that it should be a whatever it is that will foster him being a lifelong learner. He should be able to go outdoors, see the world, like the world is his classroom. He should be able to interact with nature. It should be able to. So when I think about education and how it's coming into a knowledge of things, and it doesn't have to be in a classroom. It doesn't have to sit down and somebody's talking to him at him about this is this and this is that and this is that. This is what nobody should experience life. He should experience it. That's what I think education is about. So based on that teaching, on that philosophy, will I necessarily want to put my child in a school? Or how am I going to do my homeschool based on that philosophy? There are people that homeschool and they do school absolutely fine because there's freedom to do what you want as a parent. It's just that you are sure of what you're doing and you are convicted about it basically. So let's look at the various philosophies the various methods of the various philosophies that exist. So we have the classical philosophy. So this one is the way the classical works is I don't have so much knowledge on all of these things, but I have like bits and pieces to be able to explain it. But then just pardon me, right? So the classical approach basically to education is they think the way the classical approach works is been done. Yeah. Why change it? What's happening now that we're trying to change it? Okay, so we've all learned from these historic books for 19 young borough. So now you people are coming out and saying innovation. Not that they're not innovative, but I'm just saying stick to those classical ways because it works. Why fix what is not broken? So that's the classical approach. So they do with a lot of historic books. They do with a lot of historic books. They do with a lot of trying to read history. I just said history twice. Oh God. So trying to do with history books. They read a lot of books, basically, Sha, and they like the way it has always been done. Let's shall continue doing that way. So most schools are actually classical. Most schools are classical. Even here, most schools are classical because they are like, if it's not broken, I mean, why should we fix it? So there's also Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason is so they look at the whole child and they favor you going outdoors, reading living books, so biographies, so instead of just non-fiction books fiction books and textbooks. So they favor reading biography. So if you go to a Charlotte Mason home, right, that are purely Charlotte Mason approach. They read a lot of books. They favor children writing poems or copying historic poems and writing down, learning from things that have always been or living books as they call them, and then outdoors, interacting with nature, seeing the animals or seeing insects and all of that. So they also favor that in the Charlotte Mason approach. Then we have Montessori. Montessori is quite popular in Nigeria. The approach is looking at a child, respecting the child, and looking at the whole child as well. And it favors play-based learning, and quite a number of people, because when you look at Montessori, people look at the Montessori education line like just saying, okay, teaching. Okay, sorry, I'll get back to that question. Do I employ teachers? No, I don't employ teachers. I do myself in my own house, yes. Okay, so the Montessori, so in Nigeria, they're all about, teaching, the way they teach Montessori is just about academics and all, but there's a whole Montessori philosophy that is way beyond just saying this is how to teach math or this is the approach to teach literacy and all of that. But then, there is, so there's also that. So that's another approach. The Montessori approach is a whole lot deeper than all these surface things that I'm saying, Sha. But then there's also unschooling. Unschooling is basically doing the opposite of school. Right? So it's like this is how the child learns. The children need to trust children. They are natural learners. Excuse me, and they will naturally learn what they want to learn or what they are supposed to learn. Right? So it's basically following the child's lead and then going with the child. That's what unschooling is really about. And then there's school at home. So school at home is like following so say I'm doing school at home now, for example, I will follow the Nigerian curriculum for preschool in my house, and we'll do the same things that they are doing in school, but we'll just, so that is like theme-based studies. So you do create activities or teachings or whatever around a particular theme. So you can have a animal thing now, and then you're creating activities around. Let's see it, not see you, hear from you. So you create activities around that particular theme. That's what the unit studies is basically about. And there's eclectic, and that eclectic is if you are undecisive, like someone like me, you just pick a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and then you combine it to achieve your own goals as a parent in your own school. So basically, those are the different philosophies that are available. Those are different philosophies that are available for this thing. So I would advise that first, that's like the next step for you to go is to check out what your philosophies are. So I would advise just go to Google, type various methods of education and read through. And I have a bit of it on my Instagram page, the different methods. I have them on my Instagram page, a little bit about all of them, so you can go through them and check what they're about. So you see where you tend towards, because, and you also want to look based on research and the future. You're looking at the future of your children, because where we are today, they are going somewhere different in terms of innovation, technology, and how the world will really run. So look at what will work in 10 years time, in 20 years time, and see what makes sense for you to apply to your children. And if your children are in school currently, you have to ensure that you create the right environment in your home, so that when they're back from school, there are different reasons why you may still keep your child in school. There are different reasons why your children go to school, whatever it is. So ensure that when they are back home, they have that environment that fits your own philosophy as a parent. I will not advise that you do something different from what they are doing in school, because consistency is key. But you also have to ensure that the right environment is created, because from the beginning we said that what is the most important thing is that we are preserving their childhood, right? So the next thing is your own teaching style. Your teaching style, I've not figured out my own. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to even still figure out my child. So, but you as a parent, you have to start thinking about what your teaching style is. There are various ways that you get to teach. There are various ways. So you have to look at how you yourself, you function as a person before you actually now have time to start teaching anybody else, right? Then the next thing is the learning style of your child. If your child is still in the early years, it will still be very difficult to actually know, but you will know once you are observing. So there are different learning styles. There are auditory learners, there are visual learners, and there are kinesthetic learners. Now, for you to know your child, my child is just turning 3, and I can say that these are some things that I'm sure that he is going to do. But for you have to observe. It's very key. Like, observation is key for you to know exactly how your child learns. And that's one of the things that happens in school, which is what are some of the benefits of homeschooling, is that you are teaching based on your child's learning style. But if your child is in a classroom of 10, 15, 20, and then they are teaching in a visual manner, and your child is not a visual person, your child needs to do something to be able to learn, and they are not doing anything per se, so those things, disparities come. So you have to know how your child learns, so that you as a homeschooler, you are not even just doing things off the head. And once your child is going to, you'll be able to communicate better with their teachers to know that this is how they learn, so that they can. So it's very important, so that when you are planning, you will plan based on your child's learning style. Size fits all. Because if I'm planning based on my child, that my child likes to go out, my child is very outgoing, my child is a do something person before he learns, and then I give you my own blueprints. It can't work for you. So that's why we have to go through this process ourselves, which is why I'm trying to state all the processes. Then, after you know your child's learning style, then you have to know your child's interest. The interest is very, very key because you don't want to be forcing what is not going to be forcing. Even we as adults, if we're not interested in something, we zone out. As in, we zone out. How much more children that they don't know how to pretend? They don't know how to. They don't know how to pretend. They don't know how to say like as if they are not. They will show you exactly how they are, and if they are not interested in something, trust me, you will know. So you have to follow your child's interest, even if no matter the approach you take, it's very important that you follow your child's interest so that they can actually learn. Because the truth is that whatever you're doing, like be it activities or whatever approach you take, once your child is interested in it, they are interested really, and they can learn. And you see, sometimes you buy a new toy and your child is focused on that toy for an hour, 2 hours, and wondering, what is happening over here? Something different here. But it's because they're interested. That's why they're sitting down there for 2 hours. Whereas they want to do homework, or you come and sit down, it's a problem. They are not interested, that's why. So you have to find out what they actually learn. So when you are planning for your home environment or your homeschool, you have to put into consideration what your child is interested in. This is very, very key. Now my son is absolutely interested in cars, in trains, in aeroplanes, and the truth is that you can use this to teach anything, as in absolutely anything. As in, it is just left for your imagination to just think it. You can use that their interest to teach absolutely anything. But because we are boxed in from assignments or homework, we are boxed into that. We don't want to go outside of that box because we are not sure. Which is why I said you should always, if your child is going to school, create an environment in your home that enables learning away from school and all of that. Create that environment in your home, what your child, so that they can actually learn, right? So your child's interest. Then when you're planning, you also have to think about assessment. And when I say assessment, please don't hear test. Don't hear midterm test, or don't hear exam. Don't hear anything like that. I meant assessment. Assessment is just you observing. That's all. I'm not an advocate for giving children paper or something, even whether you're telling them to color. Observe them when they are coloring on a normal day and know what they can do. You don't have to tell them, oh, it's test time. You're testing them. Then you not give them score A or something. I don't even know how they do these days, but please, I ain't interested. I don't believe in that. So when I mean assessment, I mean observation. And the reason why I'm saying assessment is because your observation is not just for observation purposes. The observation is not for you to just know, but for you to plan better. Now, when you look at developmental stages of children, there's some things that they should be able to do at age X, age Y, age Z. There are some things that they should be able to do. So if your child is 1 year old or your child is 18 months old and the child is not working, it will be a cause for concern, right? And you will take your child to the hospital and tell them to check what's happening. Why is this child not working? Even before they say you would have said what's happening. This one. You take your child to the hospital. So, but you're not going to be trying to grade the child. Why is it not? You won't do that, right? Because these are just natural things they're supposed to learn. So the observation is for your information to be able to plan better. Simple as ABC. For your information to be able to plan better. So when you're observing your child, it is just about, okay, based on their developmental stage, what are they supposed to do? What skills should they have learned at this time? So if we're talking, because we're talking the whole child, not just academics or anything. If your child should be able to receive instructions, 2-word instructions, say at age 1, or you should start Then you observe that when you say two-word instructions, they either don't hear or they don't. Then you start planning towards how you are going to start including it into your everyday life so that they can master that skill. You understand? So the observation or assessment is for you to be informed, to be able to give, to plan better, right? Then set goals. So we've just talked about observation. What can they do based on their education? What can they do based on their developmental milestones? And then goals. What should they be able to do for the next developmental milestone? So we're just still talking about the early years. So what should they be able to do for the next developmental milestone? So you're setting your goals. So this goal, so they should be able to, by the end of these 3 months from now, so if you want to do a term, we're going to talk about how we're going to do that. Oh, after 3 months, they should be able to do X, Y, Z. 3 months, they should be able to, so, and it's important that you write them down so that you can go back and be able to tick and say, okay, this is done, this is done. All we have to do is mastery, right? And then we have to look at the Nigerian laws. So in Nigeria, homeschooling is permissible because we are a people that are not very organized. So nobody's going to hold your neck while you're homeschooling, This one, go and submit something here. No, nobody's. So it's permissible for now. And but you need to plan for that as well, because if you look at your child's life 20 years down the line, and then you see that in their future, taking them to a traditional school is in the picture, then you have to also plan for it and prepare them for that time when they are going to enter into a traditional school. So if your plan is at age 5, they're going to enter into a traditional school, or at age 3, they will enter into a traditional school. What are you doing now to prepare them for that time? You have to put that into consideration. You have to make sure that you plan for it, because what you might be doing in your homeschool, based on your own philosophy, you might not find a school that's doing the exact same thing. So you will now find the one that, okay, I'm fine with this one, but then what they're doing is a bit different. You have to prepare your child for that time. So that's why I said the Nigerian laws. But if you are also going like forward and you're like, okay, no, they will not go to a traditional school till their GS1, GS2, you have to understand what happens in the educational system for writing JSC. You have to enroll into a school to be able to write it. So whether your child is homeschool is at home, you have to put them in a school when they are in primary 6 to be able to write the junior secondary exam. Common entrance. So you have to put them in, you have to enroll them in a school, not for them to run the term, but to register for the exam. They can register as external students, but for those that's common entrance, they have to register with the school to be able to write it. So you having knowledge of that, because we've walked backwards our children's life and seen that, okay, they might go to school at this point, or they might not go to a traditional school at this point. Or if they're planning to go abroad, you know that they are not going to finish their education in this country. You also need to plan for that and prepare them for that as well. So plan for it in your homeschool. Then you have to plan for extracurricular activities, because and that's also is dependent on you as a parent, based on whatever philosophy and values that you hold there. If one of your values is that you want your child to be multifaceted, to have a wide range of knowledge, to be able to do various things, at least try different things. So you have to plan for extracurricular, swimming, ballet, lawn tennis. I'm just taking the whole extracurricular, music classes, piano, violin, anyone. So you have to plan for extracurricular activities as well. Then another thing that you need to plan is your own homeschool year. How do you want it to be? Now, do you want to follow school calendar? The normal school calendar is that they start in September, I think. September. They run the term till September, October, November, December. They resume again in January, February, March, April, second term, third term, like that. Excuse me. Do you want your own homeschool to run like that? Or do you want it to be weekly? Do you want it to be monthly? Or do you want it to be all year round? Ah, if you're doing all year round, kudos. Do you want it to be all year round? Do you want it to be monthly? Do you want it to be on a monthly basis? Do you want it to be like the normal school calendar and all of that? So, so basically, that is, yeah. Think about your school calendar. Okay, yeah. So basically, that is the whole process for you to now, um, that's the process you need to follow to take to be able to now decide what you are going to do and how you are going to do it. So I'm now going to give an example. I'm going to give an example quickly of how my own choice of what I'm doing and how I'm now planning it. So then I will run through finally all the things I've said. Okay, so I decided to do theme-based learning. So we pick a theme and and we create activities around that theme. Activities that will develop our numeracy, literacy, social skills, our Bible study, music. I have a list of them already. I don't really know them often. Science. So we pick activities around all of those things, but under one umbrella, a theme. So if we're doing transportation, we'll see how we can create activities that are science-based, that is based on transportation, numeracy and literacy. So books that are on transportation that we can read. So I create that, then I write them down, then I split them into three because I only do structured quote and unquote play on 3 times a week. So I split those activities into 3 times of that week, and the rest of the week we free play. That means I allow him to do whatever he wants, however he wants it. If he wants to jump on his head, he can jump on his head. If he wants to fly, he can fly. But the other days, it's not like he can't do what he wants, but these activities are laid out for him to either choose to do them or not. So we're basically doing a little bit of theme-based and unschooling. Yeah, so that's what we are doing. So I pick, then I also do write down his developmental milestone. So he's going to turn 3 in March. So I wrote down what should he be doing at 3 years old. And I now wrote down what she should be doing at 4 years old. So preparing him for 4. So I was starting activities that will enhance that skill that he needs to have known by 4 years old. Then I write them down and also infuse them into the activities that we do on a bi-daily basis. Is that bi-daily? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah. And then I incorporate a lot of outings. So we go out. Too much for me because I'm a homebody, but not enough for him because he's always wanting to still go out as much as we go out. I mean, so I try to do the activity, the outings to fit our themes, but it's actually very difficult. So I just write down a list of places we can go. A list of places we can go. Shameless plug. I have that in my ebook. I want to come and buy it. Sorry. But then, I write down a list of places that we can go. Then we go to them once in 2 weeks, once a week, depending on how the spirit is leading me and how outgoing I can maybe feel. Yeah, so we create activities around all of that. Then and then so that is majorly what we do, and then I share them online, what I do, so that anybody that wants to is comfortable with what we are doing and wants to really replicate it can replicate it. But I also give tools to be able to make sure that you make your own decisions yourself for your own school. I try to ensure that I teach how to do that as well for you, so that you're not just saying, okay, this is what Tommy is doing, let me copy it. No, because what can work for me might not work for you. What my child is interested in might not be what your child is interested in. So I'll quickly run through the steps again. Going to, because time is really not on our side. So I'm going to quickly run through the steps to be able to plan your own homeschool yourself, right? So first of all, know your values. What do you value as a person, as a family, your own family? What do you value? You and your spouse come together, talk about it. What do you value? And when you look at your children, what do you value for them till they can express it? You can do that for them. Then also know your philosophies. There are a wide range of philosophies that are available. There's Charlotte Mason, there's classical, there's Montessori, there's unschooling, there's school at home, there is unit study, and there's eclectic. Now, know also, very key thing to know is that lying there and know what they value. Then you as a homeschooler, you pick, that will inform the route you pick. So whatever method you want to go through, and based on that route, you can now decide, oh, I want a curriculum or not. Or because if you are doing if you are doing Montessori, you might need a curriculum. If you are doing unschooling, you would not need a curriculum. So those are the different methods. Then know your teaching style, know your child's learning style. Are they auditory learners? Are they visual learners? Are they kinesthetic learners? You can only know that by observing them. You need to observe, observe, and observe again. Then you need to know your child's interests. The way they learn, different. What they're interested in, different. And it's very key to know that whatever they're interested in, whatever you want to teach them, you can find a way with their interest to teach them. It's as simple as ABC. And trust me, they are more receptive when they're interested. They are more receptive when they're interested. And we need to also, if our children are in school, we also need to be able to take ourselves out of the box of homework and how the teacher expects you to do it. Trust me, it's not by force, so that's the truth, especially in their early years. So I don't know, it's finding a very delicate balance so that you don't teach your child like you can defy authority and all of that, but finding that balance and maintaining your child's childhood, right? So that their life will not be revolving around academics and what they get in school and things like that. So know your child's interests. Then assessment. I said assessment, not exam, not midterm test, not testing. I said assessment. And I said assessment because you need to observe your child for you to plan better. The information is for you, not for you to react to your child. The information is for you as a parent to be able to plan better because you need their learning. There's no I wanted to say there's no exam, but the way the schools they are doing exam, but there's really no exam. You should not be flogging them for what they don't know. You're supposed to teach them what they don't know. So the idea is for you to observe, to be able to plan better what they're either struggling with or what they need mastery on. Not struggling, what they need mastery on, right? So you need to plan better. So the assessment is for you. Then set goals based on either their developmental milestones or where they are right now in their academic, line. Then you need to set goals for them for the year. So based on that goals, you're now going to plan the activities you are going to do and whatnot. Then know the Nigerian laws. In Nigeria, as a homeschooler, in Nigeria as a homeschooler, you have to know that if you know that they are not going to enter a traditional school for the length of time, or if they are going to still enter into the traditional school at a certain age, you need to plan for that as well. Because there are some schools, depending on how they are, I know that if they are still going to enter like SS1 or something, GS1, they have to write common entrance. And to write common entrance, you have to enter a school, register in a school. So you have to plan for that as well. If they're not going to enter the Nigerian system and they're going to go abroad eventually, you need to also plan for that. So then plan for extracurricular activities based on your values. If you think that, your child should be multifaceted, your child should know certain things, then enroll them for piano class. enroll them for ballet, go to the enroll them for swimming, enroll them for make life more fun. So basically, yes. So extracurricular. Then think about how you want your year to run. Do you want to follow the traditional schooling system calendar from September to this, or you want to do January to December and take breaks in between? You want to do monthly? You want to do weekly? Or you don't want a calendar? We all have different values. What we value are the things we value differ, and what we think about education as individuals differ. But what is most important, because we're looking at the future of our children, we have to make decisions based on the future, because what is tenable today might not be tenable 20 years from now, because innovation, technology, the world is evolving. Whatever we choose to do for our children, we have to put that in mind. So if they're in a school where they are not evolving or innovating, my sister, please try and move on. Yeah, and it's also important that you take them out, let them experience the world. Let's preserve their childhood. Let's preserve their childhood. So one of the key things that I also finally, one of the things that I learned in this last year is, first of all, you as a homeschooling parent, it's important to take your mental health seriously, because what you're doing is absolutely amazing. First of all, kudos to you, and it is draining. Very draining. I thought that I could do a 52-week theme-based activity, but then I almost crashed and burned. So I've learned now and that you do on a certain day. If that day for you is not working, just know that, okay, my own barest minimum, finding somewhere to go. Maybe we'll go to Landmark Beach, or we'll go to Mindscape Museum, or we shall go somewhere that I know that child. I've said it before, it's very, very key. Observe, 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 so that you can make informed decisions about your child's education. So with that, we've come to the end of this live session. Thank you all so much. And somebody asked me that, do I teach or do I train teachers? I'm just starting. I only teach my son, and I've been saying it. I don't teach people, but I know some people that are coming out with an innovation now to be able to connect homeschooling parents with teachers that want to bring teachers to their homes and teach them. I know there are a lot of people that would love that. They don't want to take their children to school yet. So I know there's a platform that is, they are available now, but they want to start that service soon. So we are waiting for them. They said they are starting in May this year. So let's pray for them so that they can have teachers, so that I can direct people to them. Because me, I'm not opening a school. 1, 2, I am not a teacher. Thank you very much. So yeah, it will be cool. I know it is. When I heard about it, I was excited too. So thank you so much, guys. If you guys have any questions, you can always send me a DM. I'm open. People that know me, they know that I'm open. I won't answer anybody. I'll talk to anybody. If like ping me by midnight, that's when I'm awake the most. I will answer. So thank you all for watching. I'll have this on my YouTube channel too. So thank you. Mwah, 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 for joining. Bye bye. Don't worry. We shall put it on Insta story. Thank you very much.